Hare Krishna, everyone. Warm welcome back once again to our ongoing lecture series on the glories of our most beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Thank you for being with us. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pastrata Deshatarane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, the revealer of the Dham. So today we are continuing with our mini-series on Stimulation for Ecstatic Love, and this will be part 50. We've actually reached this mark 50. And in this lecture I would like to discuss Krishna's club, including its pastimes in both Vrindavan and outside of Vrindavan, for this club acts as a stimulation for ecstatic love for devotees in many rasas, including those in Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka, etc. So to begin with, the name of Krishna's club is Komodaki. The Sanskrit text Amarakosha says, Komodaki gada kadho nandaka koshtubo mani Chapa Saranga Marashrishtu Srivatso Lanchanam Shmitam. His club is named Komodaki. His sword is named Nand Adhaka. His jewel is named Kashruba. His bow is named Saranga. And there is a divine sign on Krishna's body named Srivatsa. It's very beautiful. The Vishnu Sahasranam confirms this. It says Chakra Garadhara. Chakra Garadhara. He, meaning Vishnu, carries the chakra and the club. Here we should mention again that, how everything in the spiritual world is personal. Therefore, in the Sattavata Samhita 13, chapter 13, verse 112, it's described that Komodaki, in his personified form, has the complexion of a golden mountain, is splendorous with lotus eyes, and he illuminates the sky with the rays emanating from his beautiful form. And we usually think of him as a club, but everything in the spiritual world is personal, so they also have personal forms, like I just mentioned here. Now, we can break down the meaning of Komodaki. Ku means earth, and Modaka means delighter. So Ku Modaka means delighter of the earth. The Acharyas say, thus the club which belongs to Ku Modaka becomes known as Komodaki. I also found in my research another name for the club. It's Kopodaki. Kopodaki. Sometimes it's referred to that by our scholars. And I also read last night that there's a similar weapon to this club, the Komodaki. It's called a Mudgara. Similar but different at the same time. It's more like a flat, how could I say, mallet, a flat mallet. Something like a large cricket bat. Actually, it's the only way I can think how to describe it. It's not to be confused with a gada or a club, Komodaki. Actually, the Acharyas say that Kamsa used to carry a Mudgara, and Krishna carried a club. Kamsa had to use a Mudgara. It's not as attractive, not so beautiful like Krishna's club. Now, our supreme authority. What is our supreme authority? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 28th chapter, text number 28. Actually, that verse encourages us to meditate on this weapon of the Lord, Komodaki. We're instructed like that. Therein, Lord Kapila says to his mother Devahuti, and I quote here, the yogi should meditate upon his club, which is named Komodaki, which is very dear to him. This club smashes the demons who are inimical soldiers and is always smeared with their blood. Now in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, it's interesting, he glorifies Komodaki. in the following way. He writes, "Those who are demons and are inimical towards the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are punished by his mace, by his gada, which is always smeared with the blood of such fallen living entities. The club of the Lord is very dear to him because he uses this instrument to smash the bodies of the demons and mix their blood," Prabhupada writes, "mix their blood. As mud is kneaded with water and earth, like we do like clay, so the earthly bodies of the enemies of the Lord or the atheists are smashed by the club of the Lord, which becomes muddied with the blood of such demons." Prabhupada refers to the atheists as demons. Now our beloved Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada also glorifies this auspicious weapon of the Lord in his own Lalita Madhava. Lalita Madhava 570. I was really happy to find this. Therein he's describing Krishna in Dwarka as follows, and I quote, "The moonlight of the moving Kaustubha jewel shining, his forearms splendid with the friendship of the Komodaki club, Sudarsan chakra, Panchajanya conch shell, and lotus flower, and his form decorated with glistening ornaments, Lord Krishna, who defeated Kamsa, and who is now accompanied by Garuda, reminds me of his opulence in Vaikuntha." Wow. Now, there are several versions of how Krishna or Vishnu obtained his weapon of Komodaki. First of all, we should understand that the weapons of the Lord are all really eternal associates of the Lord, but they are gifted to him whenever he appears in the material creation. So to begin, the Mahabharata, Adi Parva chapter 224, text 23, describes how Agni Dev, the demigod of fire, he once developed indigestion. How so? Because of consuming too many substances in fire sacrifices. Agni hoped by consuming some powerful herbs in a forest named Khandava, he could cure his indigestion. However, that forest was very dear to Indradev, and when Agni Dev tried to consume the Khandava forest, which involved burning it, Indra showered profuse rain, making it impossible to do so. So one day, Agni Dev approached Krishna and Arjuna and asked for their help to cure his indigestion. And Krishna and Arjuna agreed. So the next day, Arjuna made an umbrella of golden arrows above the forest. As a result, as Agni consumed the forest with fire, Indra was unable to extinguish the fire. So being pleased, Agni Dev offered many kinds of weapons to Krishna and Arjuna. And having witnessed this, Varuna, the god of the ocean, he came forward and he also offered Krishna and Arjuna weapons. And one of the weapons that Varuna offered to Krishna was the Komodaki club. Now another version is given in the Agni Purana, chapter 114. There, I was reading, it says that Gada was an asura born to Kashyapa Prajapati by his wife Diti. And Vishnu, one point he killed Gada, and Vishwakarma, the architect of the demigods, then made a weapon from one of Gada's bones and gave it to Lord Vishnu. And since the weapon was made from Gada's bone, it came to be known as Gada, club. From his bone he made a club. And it's described there, it was a favored weapon of the Lord. It became known as Komodaki. So we can attribute these different versions to the Lord's pastimes taking place in different millenniums. We've discussed this before. There's sometimes varieties when Krishna comes again and again and performs these pastimes. So this explains the different versions we share today about the source of Komodaki. Now in Braj, in Vrindavan, like other weapons of Lord Vishnu, such as the conch, the lotus, and the chakra, his gada, Komodaki, makes an appearance in Braj Lila. For example, once while Krishna's cows were grazing nearby, and the cowherd boys were resting some distance away, Krishna met Radha and the gopis in a secluded forest. He made one of his excuses to leave the cowherd boys to find some stray cows or something. And he met Radharani and the gopis in a secluded forest. It stated, confident that no one would interrupt them. And at one point, Srimati Radharani said, Krishna, I've heard that you are Ramachandra, Vishnu, and other incarnations. If you think me worthy, please show me the form you assume as you rest on Sheshanag in the ocean of milk. So pleased by Radharani's request, Krishna began to play his flute. And in response, his cows soaked the ground with unending streams of milk, quickly creating a lake that would come to be known as Shira Shagara. Shira Shagar. Krishna played his flute, and the cows flooded the earth of the Chintamani Dham, the Braj Renu, with milk. And it created a lake, Shira Shagara. And it's described in this vast expanse of milk, also called, that place is also called, what was it? Mahadari Kund. Mahadari Kund. In that vast expanse of milk, there appeared the serpent Shesha, as Radharani requested, with his thousands of heads, decorated with glistening gems, and his many mouths singing, as he does, the Lord's unlimited glories. And as Krishna walked hand in hand with Radha along the body of that celestial serpent, he suddenly became four-armed Vishnu. In Vrindavan, he became four-armed Vishnu, and these weapons of the Lord made their appearance in Braj: the conch, the disc, the lotus, and his club. So the club makes its appearance in Braj Lila. At the same time, Radharani took on the four-armed form of Lakshmi, and they walked together. Hare Krishna. Another time where the club appears in Braj Lila was when the Surabi cow and Lord Indra met Krishna after the lifting of Govardhan Hill to ask for forgiveness for trying to inundate Vrindavan with terrible rainstorms. At that time, Giriraj manifested an elegant throne made of smooth stones and inset with jewels, which Krishna graciously accepted to sit on. He was sitting there when Surabi and Indra apologized. At that time, Varuna held a white umbrella over Krishna. Vayu, how is it described? Trembling in ecstasy, fanned the Lord with a chamara. The moon assumed the form of a bejeweled mirror, and the Panchajanya conch filled the atmosphere with ecstatic joy. This is so sweet. Lord Vishnu's chakra expanded into many lamps, filling all directions with light. His lotus expanded into many umbrellas to offer shade, and his club, the Lord's club, Komodaki, turned into a jeweled pedestal for holding bathing articles for the upcoming Abhishek. There we find the club in Govardhan Lila. Now, some time ago, in the Vrindavan Research Institute, I discovered a medieval scholar whose name was Pandit Vyasa. He was actually a Brajbasi. He wrote in Brajbas language. Pandit Vyasa, who wrote extensively about different types of rasa. And in describing the Vira rasa, V-I-R-A, Vira rasa, or the heroic rasa, as Prabhupada describes it in Nectar of Devotion. He shared the following pastime as an example. He wrote, Lord Balaram and Krishna playfully fight in the fields of Maharaj Nanda's palace with clubs in their hands. These clubs are studded with gems of pink rubies, green emeralds, blue sapphires, and glowing diamonds. Made with gold, these clubs look stunning in the hands of both the brothers. Their eyes are filled with passion and anger, and their sweating limbs and moving hair, due to the wind, made their transcendental forms look so attractive to all the residents of Gokul. One party screamed, Jai Ho, Dauji Maharaj, and the other party screamed, Jai Ho, Kanai Lala. Listening to the cheering from their parties, the flow of Shakti increased in their bodies and urged them to fight on with each other. With heavy breathing and broad chests, they were ready to take the counterattacks of the Gadas. Roaring like hungry lions, both their brothers, Krishna and Balaram, appeared as a glowing sun from the eastern direction. This is an example of Vira Rasa. We must thank that poet. Hare Krishna. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are numerous examples of Krishna using his club, Komodaki, outside of Vrindavan. Stimulation for ecstatic love doesn't just happen in Vrindavan, it happens for all devotees of Krishna, whatever rasa they're in. For example, an example outside of Vrindavan. Now, where do we find an example outside of Vrindavan? Well, this is really interesting. We find it in Gopal Champu, Volume 2, Chapter 29. Srila Jiva Goswami writes, when Shalva was killed, all his followers and soldiers cried, Alas, alas! While Shalva's men were crying, the demigods from the heavenly planets showered flowers on Krishna and announced his victory by beating drums and blowing bugles. At that very moment, other friends of Shalva, such as Dantavakra, appeared on the scene to fight with Krishna and avenge the death of Shalva and others. When Dantavakra appeared before Lord Krishna, he was extremely angry. Dantavakra wanted to kill Krishna to avenge the death of his friend Shalva. He became so agitated that he appeared on the battlefield without the proper arms and ammunition, and without even a chariot. His only weapon was his great anger, which was red hot. He carried only a club in his hand, but he was so powerful that when he moved, everyone felt the earth tremble. When Lord Krishna saw him approaching in a very heroic mood, he immediately got down from his chariot, for it is a rule of military etiquette that fighting should take place only between equals. Knowing that Dantavakra was alone and armed only with the club, here we go, Lord Krishna responded similarly and prepared himself by taking his club, Komodaki, in his hand. When Krishna appeared before him, Dantavakra's heroic march was immediately stopped, just as the furious waves of the ocean are stopped by the beach. Jiva Goswami continues, taking his Komodaki club and moving very skillfully, Krishna struck Dantavakra's chest so fiercely that Dantavakra's heart split in twain. As a result, Dantavakra began to vomit blood, his hair scattered, and he fell to the ground, spreading his hands and legs. Within only a few minutes, all that remained of Dantavakra was a dead body on the ground. Hare Krishna. And Goswami continues, Jiva Goswami continues, after the death of Dantavakra, in the presence of all the persons standing there, a small particle of spiritual effulgence came out of the demon's body and very wonderfully merged into the body of Lord Krishna. Wow. In your mind's eye, you just can see this, you can meditate on it. Smaranam. That's what we're supposed to do, actually. Hearing these pastimes, we're supposed to remember them. Now, it's important to share that Lord Balaram also manifests a club in Vrindavan pastimes. How do we know? In Krishna book, chapter 65, Srila Prabhupada writes, in Vrindavan, Lord Balaram has two weapons, a plow and a club, from which he takes service when they are required. In Vrindavan, Lord Balaram has two weapons, a plow and a club, for which he takes service when they are required. I was reading that after killing Kamsa, Krishna was, in that fighting arena in Mathura, and after killing Kamsa, he was offering obeisances to Vasudeva and Devaki. When Kamsa's 8 brothers, led by Kanka, K-A-N-K-A, Kanka, they entered the arena with raised weapons, determined to avenge the death of their brother, but Balaram intercepted the demons before they could reach Krishna. It's described that running into their midst like a tiger entering a herd of deer, Balaram quickly slayed all of them with his what? Gigantic club. There are other examples as well, like Balaram using his club, named Sunanda, by the way, to kill the demon Balvala and Vidvid gorilla. So it's interesting to hear these, and surely other pastimes where the Lord protected his devotees with his Komodaki club thousands of years ago. But we can take comfort in the fact that the Lord is ready to protect any and all of his devotees with his club at any time in history. Even now. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 3rd chapter, text 27, Yamaraj famously tells his Yamadutas, my dear servants, please do not approach such devotees, for they have surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are equal to everyone, and their narrations are sung by the demigods and the inhabitants of Siddhaloka. Please do not even go near them. They are always protected by the club. They are always protected by the club, Yamaraj says, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore Lord Brahma and I, and even the time factor, are not competent to chastise these devotees of the Lord. Now, Srila Prabhupada paraphrases the words of Yamaraj in his purport. And today we'll finish with a summary of that verse. Prabhupada's words. Best way to finish Prabhupada's words. He summarizes. The actions of devotees who have surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord and who constantly chant the holy name of the Lord are praised by the demigods and the residents of Siddhaloka. Those devotees are so respectable and exalted that Lord Vishnu personally protects them with the club in his hand. The club in his hand, Komodaki. Therefore, regardless of what you have done this time, henceforward you should not approach such devotees, otherwise you will be killed by the club of Lord Vishnu. This is my warning. Lord Vishnu has a club and a chakra to punish the non-devotees. Prabhupada summarizing the words of Yamaraj. All glories to Komodaki, the illustrious club of the Lord for whom we can take shelter and ask for protection when required. So thank you, Prabhus. We're 1 week into our, well, actually just a few days into our Kartik Parikrama here in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Busy as bees, but I will find time somehow or other this week to research another item which we can discuss as a stimulation for ecstatic love here in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Thank you so much. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Jai Jai Sri Sri Radhe Shyam. Glories to Shri Prabhupada.